Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Anywhere connecting with us from in the world, you are welcome to the Q, the Customer Experience Conversations, brought to you by myself, Ikwo Oyewole. You are very welcome. Hope it's been an amazing day so far. Hope it's been a productive one. Hope it's been a productive one. And hope you're welcome, Mr. Joshua. Hope you can stay with us for a few minutes. You're welcome to the Q, the Customer Experience Conversations. Here we talk about issues, matters that concerns customer experience from both sides of the aisle, from the perspective of the customer and the businesses and the business operators as well. Today we will be looking at, can you say no? Can you say no? Last week we looked at the issue of trust and how it affects businesses, how it affects the sustainability of businesses, how it affects your customers, and the consequences of lack of trust. When customers no longer trust you, when they no longer trust your brand, what happens? What are the consequences? Today we're looking at, can you say no? Is it possible for you to say no as a customer? Can you say no to a brand as a business operator? Can you say no to your customers? Should you say no? We will be looking at that particular question today. So before I continue, I must say that the Q is not supposed to be a monologue, it's supposed to be a dialogue. Okay? So while the program is on, please feel free to look at the bottom of your screen and see how you can request to be part of the conversation. You can request to join, so you can be part of the conversation. You can join us live, so we can have a few minutes to converse with regards to what we're talking about today. Okay? So yes, it's not supposed to be a monologue. It's supposed to be a dialogue. So let's have fun today. All right? Looking forward to connecting with you. All right, so also back to what we talked about last week, talking about the issue of trust and how a lot of brands have been able to sustainably betray the trust of their customers, and today they're suffering the consequences. Unfortunately, this is something that we see time and time again, especially in the financial sector, especially here in Nigeria. And there's been a couple of issues around certain brands, especially since last week up until yesterday, up until today. The issue of trust. And like we say here on the Q, your customers do not owe you understanding. They do not owe you understanding. You will always have challenges because it is normal, it is natural to have challenges. As individuals, we have challenges. As organizations, we have challenges. However, it is your responsibility to effectively communicate those challenges to your customers when and where it affects them, either directly or indirectly. That is your responsibility as a brand and as a brand operator. But today we find a lot of brands out there that do not believe in effective communication, and somehow the trust that their customers have been able to place in them, they've been able to betray said trust. And today they're suffering the consequences. They're suffering the consequences of the trust that has been betrayed. And yes, citing what just happened in the last 2 minutes, right, as an example with what we're talking about today. I mean, for some reason, so because I have another device and my iPad is here, so I'm using it to get some form of feedback to know if the audio quality is good, if the internet of this particular device that I'm using is good or it's problematic. And I was able to ask for feedback. I got the feedback. Now, up until then, I didn't realize that the audio was even sketchy. But I got the feedback that the audio was sketchy. Now, I've been able to adjust that. So that is what we're talking about today. Being able to effectively communicate to your customers, your consumers, your clients, where and when it concerns them, because it is your responsibility to do so. Your customers do not owe you understanding for any reason. No, they do not. They don't owe you understanding. So it is your responsibility to effectively communicate whatever it is that serves as is the audio still sketchy? Getting some. Okay, it's cracking. I think I better hold it. Is it better this way? I think I'll just hold it. I'll hold the microphone. Maybe because of the way I was moving, it was bouncing off my shirt. Okay, fantastic. Thank you. All right. So this is how I've turned to a preacher today. All right. Yeah, so it is our responsibility as brands and brand operators to effectively communicate whatever the issue is with our clients, with our customers, with our consumers. Because, like we say here on the Q, it isn't the responsibility. Your customers do not owe you understanding. And we're in a world today where there are a lot of options, either online or offline. There are thousands of options out there. You barely see any business, industry, or sector where you can claim to have some form of monopoly or control. Okay. All right. Thank you for the feedback. So you barely have any industry or sector anywhere around the world where you can claim to have some form of monopoly over whatever it is you do. So that means that there are a lot of options out there. Either you see them as competitors or not. The reality is that they do exist. They exist. And the mere fact that they exist as options means that your customers can always go to them instead of engaging you. Excuse me. They can always go to them. So the question is this: can you really afford to lose the customers that you have right now to your competitors because you fumbled in communicating? Something as little as that, because you fumbled in communicating effectively. I mean, you speak to people every day. You communicate with people in your household. You communicate with people in your business place, in your neighborhood. You engage people in different ways. So you're telling me that a customer that is supposed to pay you for your service or your product, you can't engage them productively. You can't communicate with them effectively, and then you lose them to your competitor. To me, that seems a bit mundane, if you ask me, and quite irresponsible, because it is really that simple that you have to communicate effectively. Now, in the last few minutes that we've been on this particular broadcast, we've gotten a few feedback with regards to the sound and other things, and we've been trying to see how we could adjust it and make better use of that feedback. It's something as simple as that. Unfortunately, we have a lot of these brands that have some form of feedback mechanisms, which, to be honest, a lot of businesses don't have any feedback mechanism at all. Data has shown that a lot of businesses don't have any feedback mechanism. Some organizations have some form of feedback mechanism. Now, out of those that have some form of feedback mechanism, a lot of them do not engage those mechanisms effectively, meaning some of them have the facility to maybe use sending them an email to give them some form of feedback. It could be positive, it could be negative. You could send them a DM send a message in their DM on Instagram or Twitter or any other social media platform, and they wouldn't respond. So these are the issues. Because we do not rate effective communication with our customers, that is why a lot of businesses today suffer. So when you hear businesses complaining, or business operators complaining that, oh, business isn't moving so well, it isn't always about the economy. It isn't always about the lack of infrastructure. It isn't always about inflation that we all like to talk about today. Most times, it is because a lot of businesses and business operators are being irresponsible. They are doing the right thing. They're not doing the right thing. They're not doing what they ought to do, which could be as little as communicating effectively. It would cost you absolutely nothing to pick up the phone or to send a message to communicate with your customer or your clients and let them know that you're having this particular challenge particular time, apologize. This is when we'll have a result. Sorry for any disruption. Sorry for any inconvenience. It's really that simple. Because fundamentally, like we've been able to establish here on the Q, as human beings, basic needs, we need to feel seen, we need to feel heard, we need to feel special. Fundamental human needs. We need to feel seen, we need to feel heard, we need to feel special. When you treat your customers like they are nothing to you, when you treat your customers like you do not see them, like you do not even recognize their presence, they will go somewhere else where they are treated specially. It is basic human nature. There's nothing petty about it. There's nothing spiritual about it. There's nothing irrational about it. It's just basic human nature. Because we need to understand that when customers pay us for a service, or to provide a service or to buy a product from us, and they expect to get the ultimate customer experience, it does involve some form of emotional intelligence being at play. You must know how to manage that relationship and manage it reasonably. It's really just that simple. So can you say no? Can you say no to customers? Can you say no to regulators? Depending on your industry or your sector. Can you say no? At this point, I'd like to have one or two people connect with us. Look at the buttons at the bottom of your screen. We'd like to have you be part of the conversation. So you can share with us what your experience has been, either as a customer or a brand operator, with regards to what we're talking about today or what we've spoken about so far. So we can have a robust conversation. Like I said, on the queue, it's supposed to be a dialogue and not a monologue. So please look at the buttons at the bottom of your screen and check the one that says request to join, so you can be part of the conversation. So back to the question, can you say no to customers? Sometimes, few times, you may be able to say no. However, yes, there is a caveat to it, because you can't just say no and end the conversation there. You have to explain reasonably. It still comes down to effective communication. How are you saying the no? How are you communicating your reasons or your excuses? How are you able to do that? Or you just say no and then you dismiss the customer. You dismiss the client. Or you say no in a dismissive manner. Can you say no? Can you say no? As customers, we say no to brands and brand operators every single day. We come across the different advertisements, we come across the different promotions, either online or offline, either online or offline. We come across different ways that we engage different brands every single day, even on weekends. And as customers, we do say no. But as brands and brand operators, can we say no? Do we have the luxury to say no? Can we afford to say no? In a few cases, we may be able to do so, where we know that if we say yes, for example, it will invariably lead us to having a service failure, which means that at that particular point in time, for one reason or the other, you or your organization do not possess the full capacity or competence to be able to deliver excellent customer experience to your customers. At that point, the responsible thing to do is to say no and let them know why you are saying no. That at this time, you are unable to provide this service to them, you are unable to provide this product to them. However, next time when they call on you, you will be available to take that call. You must be able to communicate effectively. It all comes down and boils down to effective communication. It's really not that deep. It's not rocket science. So can you say no to customers? What are the instances in which you can say no to customers? We've been able to give one sound example where you know that invariably there is no way that you are able to serve them effectively or serve them optimally. You should be able to say no. You should be able to communicate why you are saying no to them at that particular time. Because like I said, like we say here on the queue every single time, your customers do not owe you understanding. But when you do explain to them your reasons for doing something, for example, saying no, like we're talking about today, a lot of people out there are quite reasonable. You'd be surprised. You would be surprised. So when you say no and you are able to communicate your reasons, yes, people will invariably understand and see things your way. And they will still call on you next time, hoping that you will say yes. But another angle to look at it from is this. You had a customer come to you trying to engage your brand for you to provide a service or to sell a product to them. And at that particular time, you said no. Maybe because you weren't able to provide that service or because you didn't have that product on hand. That particular exchange in itself is a form of feedback. And you must see it as such. And why is it a form of feedback? This is what it means for as a form of feedback. That at this particular time, we do not possess either the capacity or the competence to be able to provide the service. So what you then do after that customer leaves or you end that conversation with your customer, the responsible thing to do is to see how to develop capacity in that particular area, to be able to see how you can build competence in that particular area, so that either that customer comes back next time or another customer comes to call on you for that same reason, you do not keep saying no. Because either you like it or not, repetitive rejection or repetitive no's, as we can say here, does mean that those people will no longer come back to you at a particular point. Because I come to you today to ask for a particular service. You say no, you give an excuse. I come back next week, the same thing. I don't think I'll come back the third time. I'm not going to come back. Because what that tells me is either you do not have the competence for it, you lack the capacity for it, or you do not even engage in that particular thing that I want you to do for me altogether. So there is no point, there is no reason for me to keep coming back to you when I have other options, I have other alternatives to explore out there for me to get what I want. I'm not going to wait indefinitely for you to build competence. I'm not going to do that. So it is a form of feedback. When a customer engages you or a potential customer and you tell them no for a particular reason, that is an opportunity for you to develop capacity, develop competence in that particular thing that they have requested for. If it's a product that you know that you do not have on hand, but it is something within the scope of what your business does or what your business sells, you should be able to get it on hand, because that will not be the only person or the last customer to come knocking on your door to have the particular inquiry. Okay? So it is a form of feedback. Like we say here on the queue, we are very big on feedback. Feedback is one of the key pillars that can sustain and build a business if you know how to handle feedback. If you know how to handle feedback, it will help you grow and build your business sustainably if you know how to handle feedback. Because it is very, very important. Feedback as information that you get from, especially from external persons that engage with your business. And oftentimes, because as human beings, it's natural that we develop tunnel vision. Because we're within a system, we don't always see the lapses or the faults within that system. And it requires someone who comes from the external to let us know that, you know what, this isn't good enough. This you do very well, you should improve upon. But in the absence of feedback, we do not know what to do better sometimes. We do not know where to improve sometimes. That is why feedback is important. Because ask yourself, when you do not improve on your processes and your services, or you do not see how you can change or be better at it, how can you claim to serve your customer better? Because for every area that you do not serve your customer better, someone else, another business, is doing 3x of what you're doing, putting in the effort, putting in the time, making them feel special, taking their feedback seriously. And that's where they'll keep going. And they'll never return to you. They will never return to you. So how do you handle feedback? What do you do about feedback? What do you do about feedback? And in what way does your feedback come? Whatever way your feedback comes, it is a form of data. And you must be able to adequately synthesize data and see how you can make the best use of data, no matter whatever way it comes from. No matter. Data is very important. Data is how you build a sustainable business. The big businesses we have out there are built off the backs of data. Now, I don't just mean the ones that trade data for money, that take your data and sell it like the Googles and the Facebooks of the world. I mean that these are businesses that look for ways to get feedback from customers and see how they can improve on their processes, to see how they can be better than their competitors, and most especially to be better than themselves the day before. So feedback, data, we must be very serious about using them. First, serious about having them, getting them, also know how to synthesize them. Because data has also told us that a lot of businesses out there that do get feedback, that do get data, do not know how to synthesize that data. They don't know how to break it down. They don't have the data, they don't know what to do with the data. And the question you should ask yourself, one clear way to know how to synthesize data is, first, you must be able to set a clear path. What is the purpose of having the data in the first place? Why are you getting the data? Once the purpose is clear, you should be able to break it down from what the purpose is into smaller goals, into smaller chunks. And then you get to break it down, synthesize the data, see what you can execute, see what you need to improve upon, and you're better for it. You're better for it. Okay? Excuse me. Seems we don't have anyone that wants to connect with us and have a conversation today. What is going on? What is going on? What is going on? It's supposed to be a short session, though. We'll wrap up in a few minutes, but it'd be good to have a conversation with someone else other than myself and you that are just connected with us. So yes, data. Today we talked about data, feedback, effective communication. We must, at all times, see how we deploy these tools as brand operators. We must, invariably, must. No other option, no way to negotiate it. We must. We must. At all times. At all times. It's non-negotiable. Because if we're not improving in our business processes, in how we deliver services to our clients or our customers, are we really in business? Because even as individuals, we must see how we can improve ourselves on a daily basis. You can't be the same person you were last week. You can't be the same person you were last month or last year. You can't be the same person. You must improve. You must be a better person. You must be a better version of who you were yesterday, who you were last week. The same applies to your business. We must look for ways to be innovative about how we engage our businesses, how we engage our customers in our brands. What are the smarter ways that we can engage our brands? One of the key pillars of customer experience, of sound customer experience, is convenience. And only here on the Cube, we're able to establish that convenience within the context of the customer experience is what saves your customer. So look for innovative ways to save your customer time and money. Ask yourself, what are we doing today that we can do better? How can we save our customers more time? How can we save them money? Doesn't mean you don't take their money. You take their money. But how can you save them time? How can you save them money? Because saving your customer money isn't always about providing the cheapest alternative. It is about giving them value for their money. Your product or your service can be a lot more expensive than your competitors. However, because your processes are seamless, because your processes are a bit smarter than that of your competitor, they see your business, your brand, or your service as the better value for money. So they keep coming to you. Because invariably, today, especially in today's world, what we pay for is to save time. There are lots of businesses out there that are literally designed off the backs of that particular concept to save you time, not because you can't do those things. Today we have laundry services all around. A lot of people have washing machines in their homes, but still decide to give their clothes to people that own laundry services. Not because they can't work their washing machines at home, but because that saves them time. So it's about time management. Because the question is, the time you'll be engaging the washing machine or hand washing, whatever you want to do, will that time be used to do something else more productively? If the answer is yes, then you outsource it. So we must operate with that mentality that as a business, as a brand, it is our responsibility to see how we can save our customers time and money. No matter whatever it is that we do, either we're providing a service or we're selling a product. And as much as possible, whenever we have the reason to say no, that we say no in a way that communicates that we value their business, that we value their inquiry. We must do that at every given time, even when we believe we must say no. Because it is better to say no when you know you don't have the capacity and the competence than to say yes and then you end up having a service failure. That will be worse. That will be worse. And you may lose that customer forever. A customer that you communicate with effectively, telling them the reason why you are saying no, is a customer that can come back to you 50-50. Or a customer you stay next to knowing well that you ought to have said no because you lack the capacity and the competence. When there is a service failure, that is a customer you will lose for life. And data has also shown us that when a customer has a negative customer experience or has a terrible customer experience with a brand or with a business, they tell a lot more people. So do you really want to risk that? Do you really want to? I don't believe so. I don't believe so. So yeah, today we're talking about, or trying to address the question, can you say no? And looking at the conditions which we can engage our customers when we do need to say no. Are we supposed to say no? Can we say no for any reason? And we've been able to adequately establish that for you to say no should be hinged on one primary reason, that you know that you cannot confidently deliver adequate customer experience to that particular customer at the time that they have come to you for a particular service or a product, even if it's at the point of inquiry, because at that time either you lack the capacity or the competence to be able to give them the adequate customer experience that they desire. and that they require. So the responsible thing is to say no. However, after saying no, you need to develop capacity. You need to develop competence in that particular area that you have said no. Because a particular customer coming to you time and time again and then you keep telling them no could as well just mean that you are rejecting their business and they will not come back to you ever again under any circumstance. So boiling it down, what we've talked about today with regards to today's question, effective communication, knowing how to communicate effectively with your customer when you're saying no, or in any other scenario when you are communicating with your customer. You don't need to wait for a time where you have service failure before you can adequately and competently communicate with your customer. So effective communication, have mechanisms in place to take feedback from your customers or from those who are your customers. Know how to manage data, know how to gather data, know how to synthesize data, break it down based on the objective for which you obtain the data in the first place. Break it down into smaller bits, into smaller chunks, and see how you can execute the data that you have been able to synthesize and make the most of it. And more importantly, we must see how we grow our brands, our enterprises to be better than what they were the day before, the week before, the month before, and the year before. Because our competition isn't only the businesses that are outside, our competition is also within. When we know that the particular brand that we're competing against is ourselves from yesterday, then we will do better. Because we must do better. It's our responsibility to do better. We must be better. Because it's only from the level of improvement that we can get to sustainably have customers engage us and engage our brands. Because then again, our customers do not owe us understanding. So you must see how to improve your brands. You must see how to improve your business. Improvement in your processes, improvement in how you engage your customers. Because if I like it or not, people notice. They always do. They always do. No matter how small, no matter how seemingly negligible it may seem, people notice when there is a form of improvement with how you engage them, with how you, when they engage your brand, they can always tell. They can always tell, and you never know. It can make the difference. It really can make the difference. It could be the one thing that you needed to do to get their loyalty. A loyal customer, like we say here on the queue, is an unpaid marketer. Get customers loyal to you. You have unpaid marketers. They're the ones that will go about telling people about your brand. You don't need to pay them for it. They pay you for a service, for a product. That's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. All right? So thank you very much for being part of today's broadcast. Right here on the queue, the Customer Experience Conversations. You want to take a look at our previous episodes or this particular episode that will be up on our channel in the next 24 hours. Go to our YouTube page, the Q Podcasts, the CUE Podcasts. Go on there. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. Tell a friend to tell a friend that the Q, the Customer Experience Conversations, is live. It exists, and it looks to address these particular conversations like the ones we've had tonight. Okay? So yes, tell a friend to tell a friend to subscribe to our channel. And like we say here on the queue, very importantly, as customers, see that you demand value from the brands you engage. As businesses and business operators, we must see that we deliver the value that we get paid for, because it is our responsibility. And we believe that when we operate, excuse me, that when we operate like this from both sides of the aisle, we will have more stories, more instances of positive customer experience engagements between brands and customers. Till next time, same time next week, right here on the Q Customer Experience Conversations. I mean, your host, Hope to Tell a friend to tell a friend. The Q exists. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye bye.